Hey everybody, welcome to Just Plays Birth Me Code. I'm sorry that I've had to take a little bit of a hiatus the last couple of days, but we're back, and we are in what's hopefully the penultimate episode. We got a lot of stuff going on in this one. I'm gonna try and get through some of the stuff and show off some of the dialogue that we haven't seen before, so that I can kind of get the final, storyline, the true end available. There were some, like I said, there were some updates to the game while I was away playing other stuff, and so I thought I was ready for the final one, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. So we're gonna get a couple of things here that we haven't gotten before, because apparently some of the things are intentionally put that way so that you can't skip them, and so that you get all of the dialogue. So we're gonna go through and get some of that today. I don't know how much of it that is left or whatever, but it's gonna require a lot of editing. Alright everybody, let's get into it, I guess. Okay, so here seems to be our first one where it's like we need to go with Avaricia and Gula to get some other information, so let's go with that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and speed through, because a lot of this is stuff we've already seen. Alright, let's get to the choice. I think the control thing is supposed to be like, you're going through like text you haven't been through before, but I'm pretty sure we've already seen this. I know that we have gone through this before, but whatever, it's all good. So, I don't know, I'm a little confused about, like, what exactly got updated in the game and stuff, so we'll have to see. Okay. Alright, so we're going with Avaricia and Gula this time. I'll go with Ava and Ola. I think that's what I'd like most, and the teams can be balanced anyway, right? If it's fine by the others. The silence that followed betrayed the lack of objections from the entire group. You know, this may seem a little sudden, but I've had a thought. A thought? A sudden thought? Yes, an epiphany. You know what an epiphany is, right? An epiphany is the specific moment when your mental prowess shines and arrives at a conclusion, or when you attain an extraordinary idea. It is, to put it simply, a short moment of utter clarity. Something like that. I'm not sure I'd say it like that, but anyway, I just had an epiphany, I think. I can't really talk about it yet, though. If I'm still alive after we come out of the rooms, I might. Well, all of that seems a little random. We don't even know what it's about. Justicia changed the subject, deciding to leave the matter up to another time. Alright then. I'll go fetch Bia. You guys go to the rooms in the meantime. Remember, we're not exactly rich in time here, so we gotta hurry a little. As if to prove that fact, he left right afterwards. Ancora could understand his desire not to waste any time, given how the more than 2 hours had already gone by. The next room shouldn't be too bad either. The last triad is the one I'm worried about. For the time being, 39 minutes is ample time. We'll probably be done in about half an hour. The last ones, though, maybe it would be best to take some insurance. We need 2 deaths in the next hour again, somehow, so that we have 2 hours of respite. All those thoughts were interrupted when the team split up, leaving Avaricia and Gula alongside Ancora. 3 of them remained quiet for a few moments. Shall we, as they say, get a move on? Need not I remind you both that, as Trist has so eloquently put, our allotted time is substantially diminishing in these moments of inertia. Yes, well, I was waiting for you to be ready to go. That is quite the coincidence, as I was doing similarly. Politeness indicates that the eldest should step forward for the lead, after all. The eldest? Are you calling me old? I'm not as old as I look, trust me. Ancora took the lead, understanding that time was working against them. The two others followed, focused in their exchange. Perhaps you would prefer sharing your progress in our common countdown to termination? Do you mean my age? It's awfully hard to understand what you're saying sometimes, even as a teacher. Gula snickered at that revelation, amused beyond words. Oh, pardon me. I was not entirely certain of that fact. Now that I know, I could not help but find the notion hilarious, for this means a student has surpassed the master, has she not? If you mean that a student is outclassing a teacher in speech patterns, then yes, I would assume so. But a more flowery speech pattern doesn't necessarily make it better. Would you care to elaborate? What good is talking in such eloquence if no one understands you? See, I had this thing the other day where I was like, okay, when people are being like belligerently pedantic, it's, you know, because they're like, oh, the expected answer is the boring answer, and it's like, okay, like that only works for like rhetorical exercises and not in communication, because the goal of communication is in order to, you know, share a thought or a message or whatever between people. So, you know. And Cora listened to the two of them banter about the elder students' choices of wording. However, after Avaricia's question, the two of them had fallen silent. It appeared Gula was taking those words into consideration. The entire time, the group had been on the move. The room closest to the next set of doors already had occupants. That's where Invidia and Luxuria had gone. The other two rooms were to the left. Superbia and Tristitia were about to enter the one furthest away. Hey, good luck! The girl called out to the smaller group. Tristitia sent a wave, but Superbia only averted her head, and then the two of them vanished inside. I'm not sure if Superbia was her usual self, or if she was ashamed of herself. Either way, let's go already. Our time's so short. After casting a glance at her fellow companions, Ancora led the way inside. She could tell the others were anticipating the discovery of what was inside the room. Was it another classroom? Short answer was no. Okay, so I've already solved this, so I'm just gonna do it real quick and then just, you know, like, worry about it, cutting it out later. See, this is the annoying thing, is like, I remember how to do most of these, but the problem is, there's no, like, option for stuff anymore. Like, you just... I'm like, okay, well, do I need to use each of the keys on here? You know? And then I was like, you know, do I have to do it in, like rainbow order? So, like, that's what I'm doing now. And it doesn't seem like it's doing anything. And, you know, like, some of these updates, man, really have puzzled me, I guess, because I don't understand why they were made, and it makes everything really annoying. Like, if you were gonna update this, then give people the opportunity to skip. Give people the opportunity to skip. Like, what the heck, man? Just let me skip the stupid deduction. This wastes a bunch of time, and it doesn't help anybody. And the thing is, like, I don't know how to combine these now, because, like, the combination thing is only, you can only highlight 2 things at a time. You know what I mean? Like, I can't combine any of this stuff, and it's just, you know, if you're gonna do this, I understand how this makes sense for other kind of, like, updates or whatever, but, like, this is, like, a straight-up bug. Come on. This is ridiculous. Okay, I figured it out again. I guess I was going too fast that I didn't realize I had to click on this again after I got a bunch of other keys. This is really tedious. There really should be a way to skip this. Just saying. Like, you know. I don't actually remember if this part is new or not. Gula waved and left in a little bit of a hurry to get away from the 2 others, and Cora stared, slightly puzzled at that behavior before turning her attention to Avaricia. She's acting really strangely. It's almost suspicious, like she figured out something and we haven't yet. Anyway, you'll stay here then? Yeah. You can go too if you want. You have a me card to find, right? Just go. And Cora solemnly nodded and left Avaricia's entourage too. Her steps brought her toward the room Superbia and Tristitia shared. She had thought of glancing inside to check up on their progress, but it was impossible. There was that metal plate over the door's window. Not only is this search for a missing me card, it's also a search to kill someone off somehow. It would have been so much easier to let someone else try to answer the question. Doing it first was so stupid. Instead of kicking herself over it, Ancora wandered further into the hallway. After the bend around the corner, she arrived at a dead end. On one side was a wall of plates, much like the one that blocked half the larger room at the back. It's the back of the first hallway, blah 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 blah, yeah. Hey, Cora. You guys made it out first. You work hard. Yeah, thanks. I think we just got a little lucky. Well, we didn't. I don't know how to say it, so I'll just say it when we all group back up together, I guess. We're going to the crossroads after we left our rooms. Maybe you want to head there now? However, you should close the distance seeing the two of them have been talking without her. That's right. I'm keeping guard here so everyone knows about it, but since Cora's been looking for a me card, she bumped into you first. Makes sense. Oh yeah, we had one extra, Cora. Here. Justicia handed over the me card to Cora, who pocketed it without it, hiding her surprise. An extra card? Yeah. I'll meet you at the crossroads. Something's wrong. I've been having my doubts ever since he came out of the room, but there's something that's definitely wrong. Without any other words, Justicia made his way back through the hallway, and Cora cast a glance toward the door he'd come out of, but she hadn't been quick enough to look at the situation in the room. Guess it's important. Got my meme card now, so... Yeah, go for it. I'll wait for the groups here a little longer. Via, Vidi, and Lux still need to come out. With a wave, she saw Cora off. Fawn Girl didn't need to be told twice. Her steps took her away from the older woman almost instantly. Almost immediately. But she didn't go all the way back. She waited close by around the corner. Something nagged at her, something really bad. Same kind of feeling when you think something is definitely amiss. Well, I mean... she wanted confirmation. A few minutes later, Ancora heard the door to Invidia and Luxuria's room close. She leaned forward a little after making sure no one noticed she was eavesdropping. But that wasn't too bad, and honestly, I'm not surprised. It's like the answer was just there. Ancora missed the part where they said what the answer to their room was. Via still hasn't come out of her room, but the rest are in the crossroads. Really? Via's still there? What about Trist? He left a while ago. He's already gone to the shotguns, if I had to guess. We do have a vote coming in, very soon. The timer in Ancora's helmet indicated the vote was in barely 10 minutes. But, well, I guess this is a worry right now, even if maybe I shouldn't be too sad about it. What do you mean? What's sad? Look at your timer. A small pause followed, silence from everyone involved. Yes, our vote's in 10 minutes flat. Remember what me said? We only have 39 minutes to escape these rooms, right? Yeah, so... Oh no! The small girl realized it. After a moment, it struck Ancora, too. Superbia! She didn't come out at all, and the timer's over now! She's dead! It seemed like such an abrupt end for her. Yet, even with her dead, something still bothered Ancora somehow. You know, it's kinda weird. This means we have another hour, right? But even so, I feel like... I don't feel sad or anything. I don't feel anything about it. Bia was also not the nicest person, I think. Well, it's desolating at any rate, but we can't do anything about it now. We do have an additional hour, so we can spend quite a bit of time thinking about how the votes will go. Only we could also confirm that she's dead. I didn't see her coming out, but she could have come out way earlier before Trist. And he wouldn't have left the room? Nah, I don't think so. You said you stood guard here the whole time, right? And no one came out? No one. Then she's dead. Let's go. Ancora heard footsteps coming in, so she hurried away. Thankfully, her own boots weren't noisy if she was careful, even on solid flooring. Convenient. She joined up with Gula and Tristitia. Two of them had been talking, but when she arrived, the conversation ended. Judging by Gula's body language, Ancora guessed she was happy it was over. The others are coming. Alright, then I'll say what I wanted to say earlier to you two first. I realized this a little bit ago, but we're 9 people in total here. Well, it so happens there's a thing in psychology called the Enneagram of Personality. The Enneagram supposedly classifies everyone to a main personality type, even if everyone takes from everyone else. If we can deduce who's what, we'll have an easier time determining who to vote for. Right, tell which personality do you proclaim to belong to? Ah, you know of it too? Slightly. In my youth I pursued the dictionary an astounding lot. Well, I'd probably be the peacemaker type, which is the 9th type. The peacemaker? That's quite a great show, I mean a stretch if you ask me. No, it's the only one that makes sense. I started categorizing us into types, and, Before you could say any more, the others caught up with the three who had gathered for the vote. His theory is sound anyway. We're 9, and all of us correspond to a type or another. Maybe this makes me the investigator, also known as the observer type then. For the next few minutes, Tristici explained what he was thinking about to the new arrivals too. After Tristici was done, the group came together to decide on what the next course of action was. Hold up. First we have something to say that's pretty important. We also came to a conclusion regarding something earlier. Oh, that. She shivered apprehensively, waiting for the verdict to fall. It was clear that the subject was. Even though we're not meant to know yet, there's been some eavesdropping going on. Well, Trist, Bia didn't come out of your room, did she? That is correct. She didn't come out of the room. Why is that? I don't need to explain my thinking, but I guess I can humor you. The slightly overweight boy began pacing around a little, somewhat nervously, but also strangely confidently. Earlier, I spoke about the Enneagram. Well, I only told you what I categorized myself under, but I'm pretty sure I'm spot on with Bia's categorization, and that's why I made sure she died. That doesn't make any sense. She was a huge bitch to everybody, but how could you do that? What's her personality type? Not sure I should say, but there's more to each personality type than just the name. From what I found out in the room I explored with her is a very good reason related to her past, trust me. Obviously, the group didn't know exactly what was up with Superbia's past or her situation in general. In fact, it didn't seem like anyone really had memories of any time before they woke up. What if I told you what it was, you wouldn't believe me because it didn't fit. That's because when stressed, her drive can grow prideful. Not only was she stressed, but if I had to guess, lording it over others is nothing new to her. Remember how she treated Ira. The thought of the boy had slipped everyone's minds. At that point, Ancora looked around. The body was gone. It wasn't in the crossroads anymore. He had a good point about Ira. However, why is the body gone? Doesn't make any sense. So she was misusing her personality type. She became the corrupted version of it. My theory is that we're all more or less the corrupted version of our type, which brings us to this dilemma. If you had to pick someone to die right now, among all of us, excluding me, who would it be? I'm excluding myself from the equation because I'm the peacemaker, of course. The group looked at each other for a few moments. It didn't seem like anybody wanted to speak. Perhaps it was the fear of publicly outing someone that was preventing them. Perhaps it was also because they were debating if they wanted to call out the horse on his dishonesty. The one who broke the silence was Avaricia. I would probably vote for Lux. Luxuria took her hands up, surprised, almost backing away from that accusation. What? Why? Why me? Feeling, I guess. When you have to pick someone, I'd probably go on that feeling right now. Of course, my mind can change on it. But I didn't do anything! Maybe that's why she has that feeling. Either way, I asked, because no matter who you'd pick, you'd be right. We're all here to die. But me said only 6 of us would die. That's correct. That means we already lost 3 members, so we have to kill 3 more. Which personality types are the most dangerous when corrupted, you think? And Corey had to admit she didn't know much about the Enneagram of personality beyond just the names. He hadn't gotten to study those things yet. Meanwhile, Tristicia seemed to have done a lot of research on the internet. I could say that about a lot of people. All we have to do is get rid of that trio of most dangerous ones. The revolver was aimed at the others out of nowhere. It was then that the danger of the situation truly dawned on everyone. Tristicia had a gun taken from someplace unknown. So that's it then? That's how this ends? He fired it once. Lux screamed. He fired it again, and Cora shielded herself with her arms. He fired it a final time, and then there was silence. Silence for 3 while 3 others fell to the ground, and Cora watched as the scene happened in what felt like a small eternity. First, Avaricia's weight brought her to fall. Then Invidia's weight collapsed him to the ground. Finally, Gula ended up in a heap, never to breathe again. Every shot of the gun had gotten them square in the heart. What happened? Everything happened so fast. It must be really good with revolvers. Dangerous. Luxuria couldn't even say anything. All she could do was stare. She was staring in pure bewilderment. Or before she'd scream, now she'd say nothing. Her laughter was broken. The cute voice emanating from her helmet spouted such strange laughter. It was going on and on. It was uncontrollable laughter. People laugh when things are funny, but they also laugh when they're anxious or fearful. That's why laughter therapy exists. The kind of laughter coming from Lux was not the one made from a good joke. She was laughing because if she wasn't, she'd go completely mad. This is insane, isn't it? Lux, snap out of it! And Cora suddenly grabbed the smaller girl by the shoulders, shaking her slightly. The girl ceased her laughter, and instead the reality of the situation dawned on her again. After a heavy shudder, the girl began to wail instead. No! No! None of this is correct! None of it! Trist! You killed them! Just like that! And I'd do it again in a heartbeat if needed. Speaking of which, you're the one I can't categorize. Can't be a gentle peacemaker, the peacemaker is me. And it's what I'm doing right now. I'm making peace, no matter how many people I have to kill to get it. He waved over to the bodies with an arm while Luxuria hiccuped in apprehension and fear. That's not making peace! She stood up to the overweight boy even though he had a gun. That's just killing everyone! You're wrong. It's making peace for the few who remain. That's not killing everyone. This is killing everyone. Another shot rang out. The victim was clear this time. It was Luxuria. And Cora shuddered and suddenly had a nauseating thought. He's coming. Run! Run before he shoots again. Revolvers have 6 bullets. Assuming he killed Superbia, that's 5 spent. He's still got one. You just have to stall out 1 bullet. Come on, Ancora! With that thought, nothing happened. It was already too late by that point. Even if Ancora turned around to sprint away, the shot caught her right in the middle of the back. Her body lunged forward and she rolled down the heavy cement stairs. Pain coursed through her. She must have had fractured a bone, or a few bones. As life slowly escaped her body, she had a thought. And that thought became 5, 10, 20. It was as though a voice was talking to her in her final moments, and then she faded. Yeah, I already have the Lux directives. So, I don't really need this, like, dead end, but I do need to get the stuff, I guess? Wonder if it doesn't count, because I have a couple of things where I did this, and I didn't, like, finish it out, like I needed to finish the actual thing. Wonder if that's the case. I don't know. Well, let's go on to the next thing. Okay, I think we might be on track for the true end. I'm not 100% sure about it, but we'll see. Something's really strange, I guess. I don't feel too good about this. I've got a bit of feeling about it, if you ask me. I've got a bad feeling about this, too. The girl noticed she was still carrying the shotgun with her. Right, she found it in the room she investigated before, and for some reason she felt like Avarisha was trustworthy. This was just a part of her that told her. You can trust her. If she doesn't have the shotgun, you'll die. Far from her to argue against her inner voice, she handed the firearm over to a very surprised teacher. The woman waited for a second before reaching for it. What are you thinking about? Something in me said Ava will need this. Psychic powers? I don't know. With that done, Ancora and Avarisha stepped forward once again. The timer was coming down on them. Whatever plan Tristitia had in mind, it had better work. 5 minutes remained. Okay, hold up. Time stood at a standstill. This is the most important moment of these 6 hours. Right now, there's a choice to make. Or rather, there's multiple choices to make. I need to determine some things before we move on. Namely, I need to determine who the traitor is, but that's not all. I also need to determine what happened in my recordings. Someone messed with them. Is it the traitor's doing? It's time to deduce. Let's go back all the way back to the very beginning. Okay. Okay. Personally engineered and planned. I feel like we've already been through this. It's been a while, so I don't remember, and I apologize, but part of it is that it's like, the problem with these kinds of games, and if you're going for like this Uchikoshi sort of, you know, save scumming is part of the mechanic technique, is that you need to be able to jump back in right at points that are, like, useful. And I feel like this game kind of misses it a little bit. It does the flowchart, and I understand what they're trying to do with the flowchart, but it's, I don't know, I just feel like it doesn't, it just doesn't make sense, I guess. You know, like, I don't understand why you would do that instead of something that's a lot more straightforward. Everything is out. One more worry about Nvidia's case. And Superbia still rose me the wrong way too. I think I've narrowed it down to 2 suspects. Who is the traitor? Can I even make sure of it one way or the other? This might be the thing where we end up in that, that thing. It's NVIDIA then. Does this make sense? I guess we have to find out now. As if all the thoughts rapid-fired at once, only in the span of a single moment. Pen her helmet. You alright, Cora? Yes. Let's keep going. Lon joined up with everyone else again. She stood before Tristitia, who had a hand on both bowls. She looked at him busy in the back of the bowls. Came up two, looked at each other. Bowl, any bowl. 4 minutes remaining. She had to make her choice. I'm picking the cyan bowl. It's 15 under that bowl. Blah, 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 blah. We did this. Yeah, because this is the thing where they're like, oh, you've manifested it in reality for some reason. Do you know if we fulfilled the other conditions for the Kill Me game, too? Well, no, but... And there's no time to waste. Go! The group woke up from its collective stupor and everyone realized they had approximately 1 minute of life left. If they did nothing, they'd all perish. So quickly, they scrambled to their feet. In the light route, each of them grabbed a handful of Mii cards so well that Suburbia ended up without a working Mii card and had to nag NVIDIA about it before they arrived at the consoles. On the way there, Cora noticed her boot was lighter. Someone had taken the gun she hadn't even noticed in her hurry. That's definitely not good. If someone took it, it means they still have a personal agenda beyond winning the game. Put the cards in, you morons! Standing in front of the consoles, everyone looked at each other upon Superbia's call. They all put their cards in. Then the timer froze and 10 minutes began counting down. Okay, 10 minutes of respite. What do we do now? How do we tackle this? Do we even have any idea what we're going to vote? First, we should determine if the mastermind's dead. I'm a lot more interested in the sleight of hand from earlier. Those Mii cards came out of nowhere, and I'm actually very confused how it worked. I'd like to live, so we should vote for someone regardless of who it is. Unless it's you, right? I don't even need to say it, but yeah, I'd like to not be the one voted out. But about the mastermind? And the Mii cards? Justicia was already putting the Mii cards that were spent into the bomb while everyone else was talking. The cacophony, however, continued. In 2 minutes, it already vanished. We can't understand each other. This is going nowhere, right towards an untimely death. Shut up! Everyone shut up! Everyone did just that, all of them turning to look over at her for a sudden outburst. 6 minutes! What do we do? Forget the Mii cards, forget the mastermind. Someone has to die right now, the vote is underway. Right. These 10 minutes were bought with someone's life. One of us is a dead man walking, but who? Okay, listen. I know you're gonna vote for me, so stop trying to avoid the elephant in the room. I don't especially want to die right now that we have a way out. Nobody would. You're the biggest asshole of the group, and... Look who's talking. I'm not here to plead my case. I wanted to say, Bia, you've improved greatly, and I'm glad that that's the case. I don't get what's going on with the Mii cards, so... At least you could explain that, Viti? Then I'll accept my fate. Basically, it goes like this. As he began talking, Tristitia came near him to make sure he understood what the wolf was saying clearly. But before he could say anything else, Tristitia suddenly grabbed him from behind and locked the barrel of the revolver against his helmet. Unfortunately, I'm not entirely ready to go yet, pardon me. So there's gonna be a vote now, correct? I know who the mastermind is. It's Bia. What? Do you always just say what when someone says something you don't agree with? No, only when it's fucking dumb. Trist? I have a reason for thinking that, but I can't say it right now. Right now, you can vote for Superbia and kill the mastermind so we win, or I'll kill NVIDIA, who's my second suspect. You must have made the same kind of deduction. I have the same suspects in mind. And Cora molded over. Superbia watched in slight apprehension. Avaricia stole the shotgun, but Tristicia's stance was unwavering, and it was clear that if she made one move to lift it, he would immediately kill NVIDIA. As for NVIDIA himself, he remained motionless. For a few seconds, Avaricia moved around Tristitia, trying to get him from behind, but he wouldn't have any of it. He kept watching him the whole time. Eventually, she deposited the shotgun on the ground as if marking the fact she was giving up and opposing him. The tense situation didn't resolve itself yet, but all of them surrounding Tristitia with Avaricia resting against his console were waiting for the verdict of the solution. I'll need to vote too. Yes, that's fine, but first I want to see all of you vote for Bia. 2 of you must do so. It would be in poor taste for me to ask Bia to vote for herself, so Cora, Ava, would you 2 do the honors? Neither Cora or Avaricia wanted to sacrifice Superbia now that they had made it this far, but they didn't really have a choice. They moved to their consoles and prepared themselves to off the rabbit. Unfortunately, the camera in the crossroads is malfunctioning, robbing the helmet of its bird's eye view this time around. Well, that's a little silly. No point in having that, I guess we'll just go back to the normal view. Some of the equipment can break down since it's not the highest quality stuff, which is probably what happened. The view was switched back. Attaching their helmets to the shotguns trapped the two of them there, and they pushed their button after some hesitation. At first it looked like they wouldn't, but they ultimately abdicated in favor of Tristicia's demand. After which he remained true to his word and released NVIDIA. I also like, too, that the implication here is well, we didn't want to make another CG, so... Their helmets stuck there, though, and Corey and Avarisha could do nothing but wait. Now you and Superbia, push in your votes. I want everyone to be at their console. He kicked the shotgun away while waiting for them to move over. His gun was aiming at the others the entire time. If anyone stepped out of line, it was over for them, and maybe even for the others, too. The timer had already gone past 1 minute remaining. In only a few seconds, it would be all over if they didn't finish entering the votes. Fine, then. But I'm not voting for Bia. That's okay. I only need 3 votes anyway. With Cora and Ava done. You only need your own vote with them, huh? Hope you burn in hell, you fucking pig. It's not me who's the pig. I'm the horse. Whatever. And Cora couldn't see the others' votes since she was stuck to the front of the shotgun. She figured Superbia and NVIDIA would vote for Tristicia, however. Finally, Tristicia entered his vote in a hurry with 5 seconds remaining on the clock. The votes registered and the outcome came. It's no surprise now, Superbia is gonna die, which isn't exactly something I'm mad about. After all, she was one of my suspects. With her out of the picture, NVIDIA remains. Is there a way to kill him without triggering anyone's suspicions? He is the traitor, right? He even admitted it himself. Would have been so good if Tristicia had shot him despite all the votes going for Superbia anyway. With some luck, he'll take care of that by himself. Results flashed on the screens. Tristicia's symbols showed across all of them. You should have looked at what I was doing instead of holding NVIDIA hostage. I switched the portraits, so you voted for yourself. What? No! The portraits? No time, no time! A murderer has to die at the very least. In a last-ditch effort to attain his primary goal, he immediately shot Superbia's helmet, since his console was easily in range of hers, giving him a clean target. In the same moment, the shotgun fired at him, and much like others before, his head was cleanly detached from his body in a rapid explosion. The corpse fell to the ground with a trail of blood coming from the neck. Unfortunately, Superbia collapsed. He got her in the head, so the helmet did its job. After the explosion, the rabbit's body lay motionless in a similar position to Tristicia's. The aftermath of the macabre scene left the 3 survivors rather flabbergasted. With 2 bodies, however, the total amount of deaths came up to 6. While a moment left the 2 others in shock, Avarisha was already on the move. Quick! Put the me-cards into the machine. This callback to reality, and Cora realized she only had 20 seconds before death. Quickly, she grabbed the me-cards from around the other consoles and brought them over alongside with Avarisha. The 2 of them put the cards into the contraption. The timer froze when it reached 8 seconds remaining. I think this is it then. I think it's over. But I'm not even sure if Superbia is the usurper! My other possible guess was... But NVIDIA was nowhere to be found. He'd already left. Where's VD? Don't worry about him. He grabbed the keys from the bodies. I think he's gone on ahead to open the way out. He's gonna need our keys too. And Cora cast a glance back to the dead bodies. She couldn't feel much for Tristicia, but it was clear that she was feeling something for Superbia. Annoyance? Perhaps. Sadness? Maybe. Superbia might have usurped the game, but she still showed growth. But was she the traitor? It's so annoying. Can't confirm it. The hell with growth. If it was a double, then she really didn't. Was it even a double? Can't be sure. That's what's annoying. Well, I guess that's all we have left to do now. Head outside. Go ahead. I'll join you shortly. And Cora wasn't sure. She looked over the dead bodies, then to the revolver next to Tristicia and the shotgun on the ground not too far off from him. Don't worry, I'm not gonna touch it. I have no reason now that we've won. We're the remaining 3 survivors, right? If you say so. The girl decided to give one final show of trust and leave them aside. Before she left, though, she saw the screens on display. They no longer had Tristicia on them. Instead, they said, Error. Multiple trust detected. Ah, I see. That makes sense now. That's why I'm getting these visions. By getting the trust value high, the connectivity between the two helmets is advanced, or enhanced. That means that once it deactivates, it's capable of communicating with mine. The problem is, when multiple ones die at once, it's interference upon interference, and the communication can't be established. So the visions I was getting, they were because the information goes directly between the helmets, which would mean that every helmet contains everyone's personalities and memories in them. And that's why I knew all those things about them, and why I could tell them about their own selves. When the connection was established, they became part of my information. Why wouldn't this also be applicable to you? Have you not considered this? That's what people are, right? A bunch of information. Memories, experiences. Everyone's the sum of all those and nothing else. Existence by osmosis. But enough of that, I'm so tired. Let's go now. Oh, Cora, before you go, take these. Before the girl could go, Avarisha gave her 2 keys, L and S. Make sure you don't lose them on the way up there. You'll need all of them. Thanks. What are you gonna do? Honestly, I kinda have to go to the bathroom. After giving her a wave, Ancora was already moving back toward the exit, far too eager to stay in place and wait for Avarisha. Soon, she found the secret door embedded in the wall, and as she surmised, it was already open. Much like Avarisha had assumed, Invidia had gone further in. Following after him, Ancora stepped through the room. It was a small room, unworthy of mention, just a checkpoint to see if the G key had been gained. The door to the elevator opened. Inside was Invidia, pressing on a button to keep them open for Ancora since he heard her walk by. Finally, she stepped into the elevator. That's where Ancora met with Invidia again, who waved her over to the nearby panel to push every key inside and turn them all. Strangely, the panel only took 8 keys, leaving the G key unused. Soon after they remained in the elevator, they were joined by Avarisha. Once all 3 of them were inside, it began moving upwards. Where are we going? Outside, I guess. But the exit is on the ground level. I don't remember an elevator here. That's because this isn't the school you think it is. This is a replica. I figured as much. The question is how? How does she know this? Could it be... is she the traitor? Nothing to do now, but wait. In a minute, something is going to happen. But first, I want you to think clearly about the keys we found, and what they mean. You figured it out? Obviously, just near mid-area avionics, which is also an anagram. You saw that too, right? Vidi planted that there. Invidia remained eerily silent, listening to what Avarisha was saying. About the keys, they have a lot of letters on them. Specifically, there's a key for all the letters. 2 keys came back multiple times. This is an anagram. What could be made with it? Is it trying to tell us something? Is that the real purpose of the paper we found in the first room? Yeah, and this is pigtails. We did this last time. That's right. You can form the word a pigtails with them. And the note said, a fake with pigtails. Did it point towards Superbia? Who else had pigtails here? Guess there was Lux, too. Another good candidate for being a fake. Suddenly, a flashback of something else came through Ancora. As though thinking about Luxuria triggered it, the girl began panting heavily. She held her stomach, and Invidia inquisitively grabbed her by the shoulders. Something wrong? No hope. She held onto the sides of her helmet in panic. She was having a panic attack regarding Luxuria, and his real name, Nico Hope. She could remember what he tried to do to her. He was a guy, and he tried to get her. Calm down. Just stop thinking about it. Little by little, she gradually calmed down, and her breath stopped being so laborious. Nico was dead, and there was nothing else he could do to her. Anyway, the keys. The keys! They're all of us! The letters with the keys, they're all representing us. P for Pandora, I for Invidia, G for Gula, T for Tristitia, and so on. But there's one that's not part of the group. It's the A key. The anagram isn't talking about pigtails. It's talking about how A is a fake with pigtails. The rest of them all. But there are 2 A keys, just like there's Ancora and Avarisha. What does it mean? But before that question could be answered, Invidia spoke just as the elevator ceased all movement. You done with your little talk? Almost. Door will open shortly now. Follow my lead, and you can take off the helmet like this. Alright, let's go then. On your lead. So this is go, and this is how you find out that, Vidi is ginger. These things are terrible to wear. Anyway, you like gambling, right, Cora? I don't understand what's happening. It's okay. The door behind us will open at the probability of 288 to 1. Do you feel lucky, Cora? Or should I say Miss Penmill? How do you know my last name? I know everything about you, Miss Penmill. I like how they've updated this, but they haven't, like, capitalized miss. It's such a pedantic thing, but it is really annoying. As for you, Avarisha pointed to her. Specifically, she did so with the helmet, grabbing under the jawline before pulling the thing's sides. It's time for you to surrender your right to live. I'll see you later. That one is meant for me. And then it was dark again. But as the helmet was removed from Ancora's head, a certain set of directives were triggered to be made manifest. Won't help me now, though. Now I know the directives, but I don't know for which helmet they are. Everything is mixed, or melange, as it were. If only I knew which helmet they were for, but maybe you know that. Maybe you can help. If you can, you know where to go. Okay, so this is a dead end. Not the end. Oh, interesting. Okay. Alright. It looks like this is actually... Sorry about that. I got a delivery. Where am I? Floating. I'm floating. Floating in a sea of nothing. Before everything was dark. Now I know that you're here. Thought is comforting. Please don't go, not yet. I need you here, right now. It's useless, isn't it? I already know you'll kill me. Okay, blah blah blah. I choose. Okay, this is new. Choose us if you value the future. Okay. Puzzle time! It's been a while since I've been able to do a puzzle. I kind of miss doing the puzzles, actually. I don't miss the deductions. Become the third. Other Nuto. I'm the third. God, so freaking popular. Okay. Third also means 3. Third also means 3. Well, okay. Become third star. Alright. So, whoops. 1. 2. 3. Okay. That wasn't bad. You and me now make us. Oh, okay. The classroom was silent. In the room were 3 individuals. One of them was asleep, the others weren't. One of those awake was me. I stood up. With my helmet finally active, I could see how this room went at my own view, with my own body. It was different. Next to me were Gula and Luxuria. That's right. I was in that other room. The one they killed before. In the other time. It was me somehow. Won't take long for Gula to wake up. Luxuria's already up, though. I can see she was the culprit behind the black spots on Gula's top. Oh, you're finally up. You're lucky. Luckier than this girl, at least. The small girl addressed me while throwing away the black marker pen. No, it wasn't a girl, it was a boy. I remembered then the trauma of that boy. The scarring of his physical assault. It wasn't my scarring, though. It was Ancora's. Thankfully, I'm not Ancora. I'm Pandora. Not that lucky, considering where we are. But where are we? Which school? Is it... Well, what we're in is not a school. However, it does look like a school. Don't be too focused on the appearances. Huh? What's the difference between a school and this place, then? Because we're in a classroom, no? I don't actually know. All this just kind of snuck up on me out of nowhere. Right now we have to wait for Gula to wake up, which she'll do soon, probably. Gula? Is that her name? Sounds weird. No weirder than your own, Luxuria. That's super uncute. But I guess you're right. My name does ring a bell somehow. I could almost feel him pout under his helmet. Very shortly, Gula came to her senses too. She, much like Luxuria, questioned where she was, and I answered in much of the same way. After she was told her name, she retorted in kind. Pray pardon my inquiry, but it feels as though you are quite knowledgeable about our current predicament. What are you? She rubbed two hands over her face, over her helmet, before continuing. I mean, we. What are we adorned with? These unsightly helmets serve which purpose? They look a little like animal heads. As for their purposes, I think it'll be made clearer to us soon. Interesting, I suppose. But I desire to remove it. It was at that moment I cut them off. Or rather, me did. Everyone's vision became empty. Black. The exterior didn't let any sound come in. Soon another kind of scenery appeared. A girl followed. It was me. Who was me? Much like before I, or more precisely my avatar, began talking after a very brief moment of silence. Hello everyone, and welcome to your unfortunate but warranted prison. My name is Me, and meeting you at last is entirely my pleasure, I assure you. Please remain silent as no one can hear you, and this is a very important recording you'll only hear once. It is shared to all 9 of you to keep the playing field fair. First, I'll be telling you a few rules that will be very important, so make sure to listen closely. As that honeyed voice flowed forth, the pose on the screen changed as if to indicate a different emotion, kind of like a VN. However, the tonality was unchanging, clashing with what was shown. The helmet you wear is very special. If you attempt to remove it, you'll be surrendering your right to live. So I would please urge you not to do that. Or do it if you want. It's no skin off my back. No, really. I don't have skin, I'm just an avatar. Avatar's tone grew cold with those words, but it was back to normal as quickly as it first changed. I understand it's very uncomfortable, but if you wish to be rid of it, you'll have to follow my instructions later. For the time being, you're stuck with it. Now, very important fact. I am merely an image that represents someone in your group. Your goal in this game is to kill me. To that effect, the game we will play is called, you guessed it, Kill Me. After you have killed me, you'll be one step closer to escaping this hellhole I've put you in. Please accept my sincerest apologies for that, too. If there was any other way, I would have taken it. Unfortunately, your time is not infinite. You have a total of 6 hours to bring about my death. Should the allotted time expire, you will all surrender your right to live. Thought is so very unbearable. Speaking of time limits, when you're in a room like this one, your time limit is shortened to 39 minutes. You are locked in this room until you figure something out, preferably within the allotted time. What you have to figure out changes with each room, except for these first rooms. In these first rooms, all 3 groups have to figure out what links all of you together. Don't worry, I made it a little easy because time will have been ticking down to 30 minutes while I spoke. See, I am fair. As long as you obey the rules. The chilling stare made its appearance once more, only to be replaced by her normal, kinder eyes afterward. Don't worry. As soon as you figure out the answer, simply say, "Let me out," followed by the answer, and the door will automatically come unlocked. Unfortunately, if your answer is wrong, the one who said it will surrender their right to live. I trust you understand that this means if you senselessly scream for me to let you out, you'll merely die, so please do not do it. Or do it if you want. If you animals value your lives so little, then be my guest. I'll talk more about the Kill Me game once you're out. I have one last thing of note to tell you before you go. When you escape, the door behind you will close and your group will not be allowed to come back, ever. Make absolutely sure to collect all the key cards and any weird keys you find here. To disable cheating, you're not allowed to take any item with you that isn't one of the final containers of these deduction rooms. Now, you know what to do. Following that crazy recording, the screen was replaced with the normal view of the classroom. Something feels a little wrong with that recording, but I can't put my finger on what. Maybe it was the last part. It's different. What was that? I believe it was a message provided to us by our captor. I would prefer dismissing it as an obtuse farce, yet the elements such as these uncomfortable helmets lead me to believe that all the arrangements to be true to me's speech. In short, we are confined here and must escape. Yeah, but the last thing I remember was There's a small pause from the small boy. I can't say, I don't think. It would be too good. Wouldn't be too good. Have you two heard what she said? We need to hurry out of here. Start searching the room now or we'll surrender our right to live. Could we introduce ourselves first? The only thing that comes to mind is Luxuria. And to mine, Gula. But that's less palatable than other options. Simply call me Ula. Ooh, we can pick our own nickname? I'll go with Lux then. What about you? He addressed me. Part of me wanted to shake him out of his cute act, but I knew that if I wasn't careful, it could cost me my life. The other part of me wanted to see him try taking it. I wasn't Ancora. He couldn't tackle me down. I'm Pandora. That's what they call me, at least. Just like Gula and Luxuria. Sorry, Ula and Lux. It's not my real name. Pandora, I see. Pandora? I like Pandora. It's cute. We should start searching now that we settled that, and the timer's going down, I guess. Can't use that Ancora moniker, since Ancora herself will get it. And it never was mine to begin with. That was the other girl's nickname. I'm Pandora, and I will foil the usurpers, even if it means saving everyone. Are we getting an actual deduction? Oh, cool. We do. Alright. Okay, so we're a panda bear, right? Because, like, we're Pandora, you know? Cool. Alright, so we are on the track for the final true ending. I haven't seen any of this stuff before, which is a nice relief. I'm glad we got there, everybody. I was worried I was gonna have to go through and choose all of the stuff that I hadn't chosen before, but the thing is, like, I have chosen a lot of it. It's just, like, I don't know, it doesn't show up as a choice on the, some of the stuff, so I don't know. Whatever. We got there, guys. We got there, and we're okay. So basically, what I'm going to be doing is I wanted to finish this by last month, but unfortunately, what with the test and everything and work stuff and all that, I wasn't able to. However, I plan to knock out the very final episode of this fairly soon. It's basically just the finale, and I'll just have to play that as long as it takes me to finish it. I have no idea how much more is left in this, so we'll have to see. I think I'm going to set aside some time when I have a couple of days off coming up to record, and I'll be able to just go through the whole thing and partition out those last bits, I guess. I usually like to record everything in one session, so that I don't have to do a bunch of extra editing for like the start and the finish, but if I have to do it for the finale, that's fine. But anyway, thanks very much, everybody, for joining me on this journey. Sorry it's been taking so long to finish this particular game. Like I mentioned before, I think I see what the game is trying to do, and I do think that it's got some interesting ideas. But there's certain things about it that are a little clumsy, and I'll talk about this a little bit more like at the end when I'm giving my thoughts on it. But overall, it's pretty impressive. There's a lot of work that went into it. Obviously, you know, there's still updates happening and things like that. But we'll talk about all that at the end when we finish. For now, we're gonna go ahead and sign out, and that should be good. I think we can save. I think we can leave from this. Yeah, progress is saved. Okay, cool. Alright, everybody, so this should be nice. I can just come in and just start next time. We're on the track. We're good to go. I'm so happy that I'm finally on this final track here. It was, I don't know, I thought I was in the right spot for it, and I was like, do I need something else? And I remember looking up a guide to be like, am I on the right track here? And it seemed like I was, and then they updated the game, and then, I don't know, everything was very confusing. So, whatever, it's solved now, it's fine. But yeah, thanks everybody, I appreciate it. You guys are all great, have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, bye!